Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, everyone, and welcome to the Boring Enterprise Nerds show and tell session, which I think is this must be the fifth or eighth or I don't know, something
Or
like that. Yelena,
12,
I don't
yeah, or
remember how
yeah,
many
I'm
we've
losing
done.
count too.
It could be
Yeah.
the 100th one. I don't know. But we love doing this because what we do is we find really awesome people in communities that we follow who are doing really awesome, cool, interesting things often in public, and we get the chance to like see those really smart, really awesome people show the world and let us play. You know those guys in the Muppets who are like the two old guys in the balcony? Who are what are they called? Statler and Waldorf. Statler and
Uh,
Waldorf are like rah, 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 but they make all the jokes. So that's myself, Paul, and Yelena. We play Statler and Waldorf while the expert shows their really cool stuff to the universe. And we get to learn, we get to have fun, and we get to have a really cool person drive the show. So without further ado, we have the super interesting, super awesome Marc Bernard with us. And Marc is going to take us through whatever he wants to show us with. I'm hoping we get to talk about APM because I'm really interested in that. But Marc, please, if you want to do a brief intro, but I think a lot of our watchers are going to be kind of familiar with your work, so it's up to you. But like, let's dive in and talk about some nerd stuff.
Absolutely. Thank you, Jelena and Paul, for having me on this show. Great pleasure. I've been a big fan of the nerds for as long as you've been around, and happy to join here and let's do some really boring and nerdy stuff.
Yeah,
This is what this is all about. I love it.
yeah.
For those who don't know me, I've been over 2 decades with the SAP ecosystem and with SAP. And 5 years ago, I left the company to start my own
nice.
little enterprise. Um, it was first Marc Bernard Tools, and now I've switched over to something even bigger and better, and that's
Oh, you rebranded?
AP.
I still think of Marc Bernard Tools when I think of
Yeah.
Marc Bernard. So,
Yeah, yeah, and
yeah,
that's
show
that's
us
that's
the
good,
yeah.
and that's its own little thing that was more oriented towards my previous career with data warehousing and
Mm-hmm.
tooling around that. Um, but I became involved so much in the ABAP Git and open source community that I thought, well, that is a good place to be. I love coding. I love development and talking about it and
Mm-hmm.
making things better. Um, it's kind of like eat my own dog food. The things that we're talking about today. Um, like early on with ABAP Git, it was clear that just open source and repositories is one thing, but to build bigger applications out of this and to share and reuse code is a bit more than
Mm-hmm.
just publishing your code.
Mm,
You want to basically build the applications out of these building blocks, just like we know it from um, other programming languages. The
yeah.
whole internet wouldn't exist
Yeah.
without proper package management and versioning dependencies and so on. And so it was clear for me probably 4 years ago that we need something there. The
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
world of ABAP needs something, and
Yeah.
so I kind of rebranded myself to bringing ABAP open source or bringing open source to the world of ABAP.
Mm.
And
Yeah.
what I had I've been working on now for quite a few years in pieces has come together last year, and now I'm kind of at the point where we have the first version of the APM, the ABAP Package
APM.
Manager.
Mm.
And yeah, I'll certainly show this is show and tell how this whole thing works and what you can
Mm-hmm.
do with it. But I think it's a game changer, and I mean we the ABAP community need something like this, and
Yeah.
hopefully others will agree with that
I
and
like
we can
so even so I think I first saw you mention this I think last year sometime around ABAP I
yes.
think in the summer.
Mm,
Um and the first thought I had was like, holy shit, why doesn't this already exist in some form? Because like as going through my career, I've been doing ABAP dev for about 13, 14, 15 years, something like that, in my career.
Mm.
Like every time I go do something, like I make a little ABAP class to do whatever, I think to myself, it's like somebody has to have already done this. Like why like ABAP developers all over the world, across the SIs, across the independent consultants, across the people who work in industry, like it can't be that everyone is always doing like a unique snowflake thing. You know what I
Yeah,
mean? Like it has to be the case that somebody has
there's
done this very simple thing, but
yours.
I have no way of going and like just borrowing their like idea as a nugget of my thing that I need to do. And so when I heard
Yes.
about APM, I was like, get out of my way. Let's go. Let's go. Let's go. So that's
Yes,
that's
and
part
it's
of where
it's
I'm
it's
diving
kind
in
of
here.
like there have been so many things like that made it clearer and clearer that we need something like this.
Yeah, yeah,
For,
yeah.
for, for me, the other dimension is not just beyond sharing the code, is to wean ourselves off standard SAP code,
Mm, mm.
right? Why are we in this dilemma of talking about clean core for such a long time
Yeah,
now, right? Is
yeah.
because everybody, you know, found a little function module that they're going
Yeah.
to use, right? That does
Yep.
some magic stuff, and builds like their whole yeah, SAP application around this,
Hmm.
because they don't have another place to look for a feature, little tool, a little class, right, to do something.
Guilty of that
And
too, that's for
and
sure.
yeah, right. So you just go, or maybe you just even copy it or something, whatever. And it's like
Yeah, yeah.
it just ends up in a big disaster long term, and it's SAP is making progress, and if you look in the other cloud, there's more kind of libraries available,
Hmm.
and
Hmm.
also better documentation around it,
Hmm.
right? So SAP learned their own lesson, so to say, over
Hmm.
over I think very painful time.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
It's like in the end we drove like 100,000 SAP ERP customers into this problem, right? That they can't upgrade their systems. Like why is that? Right? So anyway, we can talk about clean core for a long
Yeah,
time, but
Yeah.
it's this dependency on other stuff that you have no control over, and you can't wean
yeah.
yourself off unless
Yeah.
you recode it or you find some other way to do it. And it does that kind of problem does not exist in that same way in the internet world, right?
Mm.
Yeah, yeah.
If you program something with TypeScript, and I'm not native to this, I'm doing it now, right? Thanks to AI and all sort
Hmm.
of tooling around this, I can program in JavaScript and TypeScript no problem. That's
Hmm.
nothing that I really learned, but
Hmm.
I got to know this whole ecosystem on how NPM with its registry serves you unlimited amount of code.
Hmm.
And you can just ask AI to build something with it. And that's for me
Hmm.
the second dimension to it is that AI tools, if you prompt to build something, it's
Hmm.
actually not writing the code, right? It's not like 90% or more of the code is AI reusing packages.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah,
how is it
yeah.
possible that you can just prompt something and all of a sudden you have an app on the iPhone? Well, it's reusing open source packages and
Hmm.
plugging them together
Yeah.
and versions around it, right? And dependencies, and it
Hmm.
just writes it down as import statements, import this, import that, this version from here, this version from there. And then you say, build.
Hmm.
And all of a sudden you have all these little packages in your repository and or your IDE, and you need a bit of code around it to plug it all together, and off you go, right? And
Like that factoid right there, that bit of info about that, about because I've used all the way from like Replit, which is like sort of just like wave a
yes,
magic wand and it goes all the way through, all the way down to like a Claude Code or even just ChatGPT, like asking code questions. And like it's just like you say, like if the community that has sort of informed the training data of the AI has like solid packaging or solid library knowledge in there, the AI is very good at navigating that and not re-implementing string searching or reversing or
exactly.
stuff like that, right?
So
And yeah, yeah, yeah.
so based on all of this, that was the driver to really start
Yeah,
with the
yeah.
APM project and
Mm.
code. And I've built, I don't know, lots. But I built it with all of this in mind, right? Large chunk of this APM solution is actually modules that you can reuse.
Mm.
Um, so I was while I was building it, I was using the APM itself to build APM.
Mm.
It
Nice,
was
nice.
kind of fascinating on how that worked. So now it's at the point where it's almost there to from the ABAP side of it. What's a bit lacking still is on the registry side of it,
Mm.
and make it at stable enough and that we can have a productive registry that everybody can log on and it's not going to go down every you know now
Yeah.
and then. So that's like a SaaS site that's still a bit under construction. I'll show you what this current state is in a playground where everybody basically has SAP all. So you can publish whatever you want and unpublish, and it's not a registry like NPM yet, but it works the same way.
All right, let's go to the
So let's
playground.
just like go
Yeah,
right in
let's go to the
with
playground.
If
let me
this was
see.
SAP
Yeah.
video, there would be a huge white page with legal disclaimer at this point. Like this
Yeah.
is like beta version or something.
Yeah,
Don't try this at
yeah,
home, kids.
this so you can see this is the
Mm.
actual repository. It's the org is ABAP PM, not ABAP Git. The client for it is also ABAP PM, so it's very easy to remember.
Mm.
ABAP PM,
Hmm.
ABAP PM. And my legal disclaimer here, MIT license, no warranties. So you play around with it.
You
That's what
get
you get.
you get a foot gun for free if you want.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
if something doesn't work, you go here issue, open an issue. Um, all right. If you the README for it, the actual code is you can just download it here. If you click on it, um, a bit of code you can see here on the scroll bar goes all the way down. Kind of the in terms of the size, the same as ABAP Git at the moment.
Hmm.
Okay.
So about 130,000 lines of code. Um, and about half of it is actually from ABAP-Git. So
Mm.
how the ABAP code and objects that you have in your system are serialized and deserialized, that whole logic is borrowed from ABAP-Git. I didn't reinvent that. We already have all of that logic. The ABAP Git or the ABAP PM here, standalone report. If you look through it, you will see lots of blogs in there that are very similar to ABAP Git, and then lots of other stuff that is obviously new to the package management around it. So if you want to play around with this, you just download it, put it into your system. Um, uh, don't try to cut and paste such large programs into the editor. Maybe it works in Eclipse, but certainly not in GUI.
Not a
Always
GUI.
use the
Yeah.
upload download functionality.
Mm.
Um, that's the only thing. And I'm using SAP GUI here for the demo. I know there's lots of ADT fans. Nothing wrong with that. The reason why I do that is because you can actually read it much better on the screen, I think, if if there's
I
some debugging.
100%
You can,
agree, and especially this
Yeah.
theme is my favorite, and I see many people actually doing the same. So it's funny
all
how
right.
it works.
So if you start this, you get a little screen with it's called a package list. And at the moment, if you're brand new to this, it's empty. You can initialize new packages, and then you'll see there's lots of other stuff. I put a little filter so it shows empty, but it's actually not empty in my system. If I clear this out, you'll see I have lots of different packages already in my system. There's the
Mm.
big APM package. Um, and it might be at the beginning a little bit confusing talking about packages the way we see them from SAP point of view, right? There
Yeah.
is this um, SAP package or a dev class, right, in your system where you organize all your developments. And then we're talking about packages in a registry or packages that you want to publish to a registry, reuse, share with others, and they are very close related to the SAP package. From a visual point of view, it's very easy to distinguish them because the SAP class in your system is always uppercase letters, and the one that you publish or you would find in the registry is always lowercase names. And I tried to, in general, to keep it all very similar to what people are used to from the internet side, so from NPM registries. So it's the same kind of naming conventions. We can have scope names, which have a prefix with basically an organization. So in the future, we'll be able to, whatever, let's say Coca-Cola or Colgate want to publish their own packages. They could do that with a scope name in it. A published package always has a version number with it, and ideally also a description, but that's already optional. So I could go into if I click on it, I see the definition of this package as it is in my system at the moment. So it has, you see here at the top, a few different things. It has a README. That's basically the same README that you would use for your GitHub repo. Then you can see the dependencies. I don't spend too much time on this. I'll get into that a little bit later. All the different packages that are included. And the manifest. That is the definition, the metadata of the package that you want to publish and share with others. So it has the name, it has a version, description, keywords, all those other things. And a little bit further down, you can specify your dependencies with a semantic version range. So you could hard code it to a specific version. So it would never change even if I upgraded the application. But if I use, for example, this caret symbol, then it would also allow higher versions, but not a breaking change. So, for example, let's take here this JSON module from Alexander from the Ukraine. Shout out to Ukraine. Is here in version 1.1.10. I know he has already published one, or not published, but he's put it on GitHub, version 1.1.13, right? So that would still be valid. That's something a bit to get a bit used to if you're not familiar with how it works with semantic versions and ranges. It's something to study, but most of the people who've done any kind of development in JavaScript or TypeScript would know this kind of syntax. But it would not allow an upgrade, for example, to a JSON version 2 and higher, because that would break it, right? So you can, this is now a full-blown project, right? It also has bundle dependencies. I'll show you that later. You can specify which ABAP versions and which APM versions are minimum requirements for this as well. And that manifest will be shared with others in the registry. So if I want to share this, I would just click here on publish, and you can, it will ask you, are you okay with it? Which version do you want to publish? And it would send this whole thing to the registry. And in the registry, this is, oops, I need to move this here a bit. This toolbar is in the way. Let's see here. This is the registry, the playground version of it. The productive one will be called registry@pm.com. This is the playground. And on the homepage, it's very simple. There's no marketing fluff or anything. You just get a list of all the packages that I've published so far. There's a pretty simple search. Also have, of course, there's a dark mode, a light mode, right? All that fancy things. And when you click on one of these packages that are listed, it shows you pretty much the same thing that you saw in the ABAP client. So when I published it, it just sends the complete README and the metadata to the registry and stores it there in a immutable version, meaning if I publish version 1, right, the version 1 will never be changed afterwards. If I want to make changes to APM, I need to publish a higher version, that would also then be stored in the registry, and then somebody who wants to use it can pick and choose which version they want. So if we can actually do that if I say APM publish, which is version 1, right? I can't publish this. It would be that, well, we can actually try this whether it works. Confirm says, oh, version 1 is already published. Doesn't work, right? So we go into the package manager and change the metadata and say this is now version 1.2. Save this. Can also publish directly from this page. Now it's 1.2, publish. If you look closely at the toolbar down here, you can see it serializes just like ABAP Git, right? And published successfully. All right. So if we
Marc,
go now
sorry,
here,
just one
yes.
question. You were showing that package JSON metadata file. That structure of that file, like where does it come from? Is it some kind of standard or like because I
Yes.
assume I cannot just type like random stuff in it and
Oh,
expect
yeah.
it to tell me.
That is correct. Yes. Most of the time you would use a template, right? You would copy from somewhere else. That schema is the same schema as it is for NPM. So all
Oh,
the
okay.
tooling that goes around in NPM, it's called package.json for Java and TypeScript development. But I use the same schema. There's, I think I've added 2 fields or something. But in general, it's the same, and that makes it possible to use here an open source registry to that understands this metadata, right, and can display it here on the site, for example, right, with the ABAP release and
Yeah,
the metadata, how big
I
it
like
is.
that right-hand side display that shows like ABAP release, APM version, all that
Yes.
stuff. It's very nice.
This part eventually I'll put that also on the ABAP side so that you can see this in the ABAP client in the same way, right? We have the same
Yeah.
metadata. The difference here in the registry is that we have different versions. Let's see if I refresh. Yeah, it changed up here. Latest is
Hey,
version
1.2.
1.2, right? 2 minutes ago. There you go. You have the proof.
Guys,
Sweet.
we just published 1.2 live. It
History
just
in the
happened.
making.
Oh my gosh, history in the making.
Yeah. So that's the simple one, and somebody else who does now the opposite. Where, oops, there we go here. Back. Somebody who doesn't have APM, or this is the developer version, right, with all the different classes, not the compiled one into one long ABAP program. While somebody else can just do the opposite. They can do in their system. They can do install, put an SAP package name up here, and then the name APM and which version of APM they want to install. Click install. One click, the whole thing is in your system. That is the idea behind the installation. I'm not going to show, it takes a little bit longer. What it does, so at the moment, it installs each packet individually. It does not have the dependency resolution yet. That's one of the parts I'm currently
Oh, okay.
working on.
Okay.
It's not so difficult in the ABAP environment because it's not going to be as complex as it is in NPM with a very complex module structure and dependencies. That's it, one of the. I always have to mention that for it's not the same, right? Also, there's so many similarities in the end. Um, the
Well,
ABAP
actually,
world does not allow you to do the same things that NPM does. So
that that
yeah,
that's one of the questions I kind of had floating in my head, and I think I remember seeing even a slide from the last year, the
yeah,
presentation you did. APM bang equal NPM, right? APM does
yes.
not equal. So for those who are watching who are familiar with like NPM, Node, TypeScript, that kind of stuff, where's the conceptual friction? Like what is the
Yes,
philosophical difference between
the
APM and NPM?
well, like NPM or Java script development is all based on files, right? So
Hmm.
we have a file system, and I can have just a subdirectory that contains a different version of the same code. Right? It's like in one project, I have version 1 of APM. In the next version, I have version 2 of APM, and they can
Yeah.
reside in the system with exactly the same name. They're just in different folders.
Yeah.
We don't have the luxury in ABAP. Everything is global, right?
Yeah.
So I can have a class name, whatever, if I take here URL, I'll have a little demo of that later. Um, that contains your class CL URL, right? That class can exist in an ABAP system only once. So I don't have the luxury to install version 1 of URL, my URL class in the system, and version 2 of the URL class with the same name. That is possible in JavaScript, but it is not possible with APM and ABAP.
Mm-hmm.
There's other ways, and I'll show you that, and that's I think the actual magic in the end of APM that you can do this, right?
Mm.
You just have to have a different name for it. And the question is how are we making this as convenient as possible?
Mm.
Um, but
Okay.
the things that show you here, these are all globally, so to say, installed packages, right? They exist in the standard SAP, yeah, namespace, or I have the temporary packages, of course, and namespace packages.
Mm.
All of that is fine, but each package exists only once in here. But if I
Yeah.
then, yeah,
Okay. That makes sense because in NPM when I'm working with stuff like my computer is a wasteland of
yes,
various versions of things and whatever. And this like in ABAP environment you just have less
yeah.
Mm.
Um,
capability to make a wasteland, I
Now
guess you could
there's
say.
the other thing is right when you install an npm package, you get only the part of the package without the dependencies in it, right?
Mm-hmm.
When you install something with npm, you get this package JSON file which tells you which dependencies are required, but it doesn't download or do anything at that point
Mm-hmm.
in time. It's when after you download the npm package and you say install it, then it runs out again to the registry, grabs all the dependencies, figures out which versions go together, and has a quite lengthy, now it's like seconds, but it does tons of stuff
Mm-hmm.
to build it and store it in your file system. Um, APM will do the same thing, but only on the global level, right? So if my APM has a dependency on whatever, like the emojis or Markdown or URL packages, it will bring them in too, but on the in the global namespace, right?
Mm-hmm.
Um, to maybe we go to the other part of the demo where I actually build something with this,
Mm.
so you can
Mm.
see a little bit more
Yeah,
the
yeah.
workflow for somebody who's using it, not to build now something from scratch, right? Without using APM to publish
Mm.
necessarily, but
Mm.
to download things, right? So let me see.
Hey, look at that graphic. I like that.
Yay.
Yeah, right. That's gotta be nerdy.
That's cool.
Okay, so my little, I'll
I'm gonna screenshot that from the video too, by the way.
yeah. I spent like hours on this, of course. Okay, so here's the little nerdy challenge. We want to write a little browser that displays Markdown in ABAP, right?
Hmm.
So okay, I'll just have a parameter to enter a URL
Hmm.
where I want to find this. I pointed it to a README on the internet. So my first challenge is I want to know is this a valid URL or not. So I could now either code this from scratch, ask AI to code it for me, or I can use a package, right? So, or you find that the other, of course, as we said before, right? You run out and find some SAP function or class where you don't know is it released or
Hmm.
not released, or you spend endless times because you also cannot search for it, right? So I have a package. Here you could search for it. There's a little bug in my search here. But Um, I showed you before, there's a package called URL object. The thing is called URL. It's actually marked as a module. That means it's reusable, and we'll see in a little bit later how I reuse this in a bundle.
Mhm.
And that's the whole point of it in the end. Right? And if it's a nice open source, right, you have a proper, you just don't publish your stuff with like a title and one description. No, you actually tell your developers how this whole thing works, right? And that makes a
Mm.
difference between like plain open source, like blah blah blah, just shoot it out there,
Hmm.
and somebody who spends some time to document the whole thing. Right?
Hmm.
Big
Mm.
projects
Hmm.
have their own documentation sites, but for many things, where you just write a nice README one pager, and you can quickly see how it works, right? So you can see here, this is how I documented this. This is it's actually following the standard, just like from Node development. Um, I copied lots of those modules and ported them to ABAP. One is, for example, for the semantic versioning. The other is here, this URL parser. And it breaks it down into component. It goes both ways. You can also do, from the components back to the URL and serialize it. Tells you a bit about this, the prerequisites, what works, what doesn't work, right? Which package should you use, and so on. Who coded it? How do you contribute to the
Hmm.
project?
Hmm.
That makes a good documentation of a package, right? And everybody will be able to quickly understand how it works and what to do with it.
I have
Um,
to say it makes good documentation of pretty much everything because every time it's something development related, first thing I look for is code example. Sometimes I
Hmm.
honestly I don't even like read stuff. I'm like, okay, is there an example? Because I can understand that much
Yeah, yeah.
faster. And I was just reminded about this just earlier today as I was looking for something in ABAP documentation, just some kind of details that I don't know. I don't remember necessarily every detail of every syntax of every keyword, obviously. So occasionally I hit F1 and then SAP ABAP documentation is like, oh, blah, 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 blah. And then it's like, well, where is the example, bro? It's like, or
yes.
they're like, or
Yeah.
command has like 5 options, and example is for 1 option.
Mhm.
Like, what
Mm.
happened to other? Like, did you like what the hell? Like, it's
Yeah.
ridiculous. It's been and that's working with like latest systems for decades. Like, why did the shoe
It
update? It's
This is always the same, right? So if you do it well, then um, your package gets proper
yeah.
documentation
Yeah.
with it. Um, uh, so like I would love to use this exactly like in my code, right?
Mm.
So
Yeah,
I
yeah,
cut and paste it
exactly.
in here, and I put a try catch around it
Mm.
if it's an invalid. But how do I get it into my system? Right? So
Yeah.
the user would go into APM and just click install and put the package name. APMG, what did I say? URL or something, yeah.
URL, yeah.
The name of the package was URL version one, and I want version one. Mhm. Click install. Um, this takes not that long, but longer than we will have time here. So that's basically the result. You would get it in here, and if I clicked on that package, um, the hierarchy, you would see we get actually two classes in
Mm.
here. There's a URL class, and there's another one for the query parameters of the URL.
Mm.
Um, and it brings the code into your SAP system this way. And then I can go in here and to activate, right? And I have the first part of my browser. I know that is URL.
Ta-da!
We can execute that. If I put like blah blah blah, it should say it's like okay down here
Yeah, yeah.
invalid
Mm.
URL, right? Um, so let's
Okay. Okay, so for people
yeah.
watching at home, what just happened is a lot more impressive than 5 seconds of click, click, click. That was super cool, Mark.
Yeah.
I love that this just happened live in front of us because like this little flow is exactly what I do with TypeScript or Python or whatever. I just go get the package for the thing I need and like
Right.
this like
So
I
that
I just love that it's here.
So now we need a few more things to. I'll just cut and paste this here out of my thing into ABAP. So I built this ABAP from scratch. I need a HTTP agent to obviously grab the content for this URL, right? Check
Hmm.
is was there any errors, um, and then I want to. So this is this here, the response C data. I get back my markdown as a string, and then I want to format that markdown into HTML, because what I'm going to do at the end is I'm going to use your little template. Put that in here as well. So we'll just remove a couple of things here that we don't need at the moment. It just creates a very plain HTML page, renders it into a string that I can then show in a browser.
In browser.
So where's my oops, sorry. Oh, I meant yeah, back
And I
here.
have to
So
say, I think
PM.
historically programming anything HTTP related has been a pain in the butt in ABAP.
Yeah.
It usually involves like calling several standard classes, which who knows how they even work, especially for someone I know like me coming from background, like being born before HTTP. Okay, older than HTTP itself. It's sometimes, especially, and again, lack of examples and documentation. You're like, is that how it works? And then like the code is just a hot mess, and yeah,
Yeah.
that's been a huge
So
pain.
I use here a couple of other dependencies, right? So
Mm.
I can download them in the oops, where's my APM here? I could download them individually here with install, or I can just create a new project. Say we're in BN. The name is Ben Markdown version 0.0.1, and give it some blah blah description. We'll fill that in later. Um, so I initialized that, and now I have the beginning of a README. There is no dependencies yet, and my manifest looks like this, right?
Mm.
That was the form I just filled in. Um, but I don't want to type all of this. I'll just use my little template here. Um, I just write this now. Uh, so I give it a proper description, right? There's a home page, fill in the metadata.
Mm.
Nobody writes.
Everyone go visit the homepage.
Yeah, exactly, right? Nobody writes stuff like that from scratch, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Usually, you obviously start with some template, right? And
Hmm.
Mm.
the npm init has like a little wizard or something that asks you more questions. But I just for the beginning, this is good. Just like type it in, and it validates that it's valid JSON.
Mm.
Um, but so the other part is that it lists the dependencies here, right? So if I now go to dependencies, I can see what I had. Now I have 4 dependencies: emojis, error, markdown, and URL. Um, and they're installed globally in a specific version. And I see, ooh, emoji, what's wrong? Version 3 has a different status. We can go back to the registry, search for the emoji package that I used. I see, oh, the latest
Oh,
version
it's
is version
three.
3, right? And there's actually no version 1 that matches it. So I can go now into to my package ABAP.json and say I like emoji from version 3 onwards, right? So if you
Mm.
now go to dependencies now, it's
Oh,
also
nice.
also
Mm.
green, right? The way to do it is to define your project like this with all the dependencies, um, and then click update. That's the idea behind it. It would um, install all the dependencies that you have in your metadata automatically,
Mm.
and
Hmm.
resolve conflicts. It would tell you, yeah, this doesn't work, or this doesn't, you need to update
Mm.
a version, or there's already a different version in your system that conflicts with one that you want to install. Um, but at the moment, that part isn't working yet in the way I wanted. Um, all right, and you can give let's see if do I have like a README. Yeah, you can put a little bit of stuff in the README so that you can see that too. Um, right. So it can the APM itself basically has the same thing in it that we want to build in our own standalone program. Was it here? The one that we were working on. Grab the URL, get the markdown, put a little HTML page together, and show it in the web browser. So let's see if we do that. Here's my README. Um, it brings it from the looks different, right? Because this is the README. Here, that's the one that I showed, right? That was the URL that I entered. So let's paste something in here that looks similar. We'll just start with something easy. Title and a couple images. So I'm updating the URL. So on GitHub, you can already see the change, and let's
He just
hopefully.
blasted it right to main, guys. He just blasted it right to main.
Yeah, no, where is it? Here, that was a browser. Let's see if I grab this thing again. Hope it's not cached. Yeah, that's the problem. Me too.
The usual ABAP
This.
problems, like with the LV list.
Oh my
I
God.
just
There's
got hit this
some
morning. Like, why is
strange
it showing me
caching.
crap? Like,
Okay.
oh, it's
Yeah.
developer.
Okay. I,
Uh,
um,
the joys of
it,
SAP world.
yeah, Okay, I'll try it one more time. It's like getting it the new one. No.
Yeah.
Okay. I'll try it in a little while. I don't know exactly what the timing is on that cache. Um, but it basically shows it the same way as here, and it renders the also code in place and so on. That's the benefit. I'm sure the code of this one that we just put together here. That's the benefit of reusing other people's packages, right? I didn't have to code the HTTP agent. I didn't have to code anything about Markdown. I just had to plug and play them together in a specific version. So the question is now, what happens if the Markdown version gets upgraded in the registry? It has a new version on it. But the immediate impact on my system is nothing, right? I have
Right.
because that's independent. But if I went into the registry here, right, and I would see there's maybe on the version tab or latest, right, has now a higher version. I want to have that one in my system, right? So I can just go to the manifest, either if necessary, update my ranges here that maybe I want Markdown version 2, right? Update that and click update to here on the dependencies, and then it would download the new version of Markdown into my system. But all of this, if we take this now to an extreme, let's say you have like hundreds of packages floating around, it can, and that's what happens in the NPM world, can get you into this dependency nightmare. And
Yeah.
it's not as likely to happen in the ABAP world because we have only one global like space
Yeah.
that we can't have like many of the same thing, or not, certainly not this nested folder structure that NPM has that brings in like hundreds or thousands of packages with one install, right? So in ABAP it will be on a quite a bit of different scale, and I also would encourage people not to build too small packages, right? Not just like one-liners or something. They need to have a
Oh
specific
yeah.
purpose. Um, and then it makes sense, right? A class is a good example, but it needs to have something in there that makes sense to share, right? And
Yeah.
Yeah.
but the next level, so to say, this is already good for building things, but you
Yeah.
want to become independent of the versions for your app. You want to ship your app with one specific version that where you decide what to upgrade, no matter what other versions are in your global namespace, right? And so I want to have now a Ben Markdown application that uses exactly those same packages, or it's the same logic from emojis and URL and so on. Um, but I want to have them only in my package without having to download other dependencies. So the question is, how are we doing that? So I have here my Ben Markdown application, right? It's the same code that we had before. Still the same class names that were in the global packages. But now I can also go in here and create a little include that has import statements.
Ooh. Ooh. You're showing us some fancy stuff now, Mark.
Yeah. So
So can include.
this looks absolutely insane, right? For somebody who's Java, this
Yeah, I'm like,
JavaScript,
what the
this is
hell
like
is
this is like fancy, right? So
Hmm.
I this obviously this is not code that you can execute, right? This is just like that's why it's also an include. It's just somewhere to put something so I can define how I want to have these classes of these packages imported into my package. So oops. Um, so here my Ben bundle, right? I want to have the same URL functionality, the same markdown functionality, but I want to have it included here with my naming conventions, right? So you could change the namespace, or actually here I have everything. I want to have everything starting in with Z, then CL or IF underscore BEN, and then the class. Um, so if I wanted to do this in here, let me just create a new package. So now we have $bn, what was it, bundle? bn markdown app 1.0.0 and the nerds. Now I want in here, let me see if I find no, the package JSON. And we added this one. Lots of quick editing. So that was basically a state we had before, but now I don't want just these dependencies. I want to have them bundled. So we would go in here, say bundle dependencies. So it's a JSON array, not an object. And the bundles just remove the L4, there was one missing.
I think it was 4.
URL
Oh
error
no.
HTTP
Oh.
agent. Oh, it said which one's missing? Oh, the agent.
Agent.
That's here as well. Let me do here. Should have had more templates. Let's make sure that, let's see if I saved this. Yeah. So now I have these dependencies, but I want to have them bundled. So if I go here, I see it's like there's nothing there yet.
Hmm.
The idea is again, click update and everything happens automatically.
Automatically.
That is not linked together in the UI yet, but I have a little importer here. Let me see if I did it correctly. I built this literally this morning to this demo.
Nice.
So
Guys, we're watching the cake
it's
being
Yeah.
made.
yes, it's yeah. So I just need to have that HTML, page here when I click update link to that, so it doesn't show that selection screen. Um, um, so okay, there's like a script. I mean, it was an error at the end. Oh, I was editing this agent.
Uh-oh.
Let me see how many it imported. But if I click refresh here in the modules folder, you'll now see uh, all of these same classes, right?
Hmm.
Here's my URL functionality. Um, in the version that I had specified, yeah, it imports the whole thing, and then I can, if I go in here, now I can just replace all of these thingies here with CLEN was one that's not a package. Let's see. Yeah, one didn't work because I was editing it, I guess. Ah, okay. Too bad. But that's well, you kind of get the idea, right? So
Mm.
now you have everything in your own namespace with your own prefixes and naming conventions, and you can uh, ship that whole bundle now. If I publish this one here, as version one to the registry, right? It would take all these classes, including all the dependencies, and publish them to the registry. Right. Then, oh, fine. Let's see if it got here. Ben Markdown app. Um, you would get all the same dependencies, version one, and so on. But the dependencies are bundled together in your app. So with one install, you get all of it together.
Mm.
So
Bingo,
that's
bango, bongo.
in another term for this is vendoring, right? You bring
Hmm.
in the code of the vendor into your own application. You can ship it together without relying on the installation of all the dependencies separately. So that's kind of the current state of it. There you see there's still a few glitches here and there to tie this together and make this fantastic solution that everybody can use.
I mean,
Uh,
Mark,
it's
I could like if I could just take this and like ship it backwards in time to like younger Paul,
Mm.
like I can just only imagine the hours and days and weeks of his life that would have been made better by this. So I guess maybe because I mean you showed us really cool stuff and the demo portion's kind of winding down or whatever, but I want to know like selfishly, but also unselfishly, I guess. How can people support this?
Mhm.
How can people
Well,
like help make this real?
the key thing, you just go to abapm.com or my other famous domain name, apm.to, my five-letter domain that I am able
Nice.
to steal from, and I think I have it somewhere here. Uh, the nice people of Tonga
It's in Tonga. Yeah, it's technically
sponsored
Tonga, right? Yeah.
apm.to, and it was like I tried to register it, right, and all the big DNS providers said that name is not available. No, you cannot have a three-letter
Mm.
domain. And I somehow figured out that it was somehow registered with Tonga itself, with the nick there that distributes the domain names. So I sent them an email and said, "My company is called APM, and we're in Toronto, Ontario, TO. I would like to have the domain apm.to." And they actually wrote back and said, "Yes, you can have it."
Oh,
So
Nice.
well, to the people of Tonga, thank you. That's
Yeah.
awesome.
Yeah.
yes. So go to apm.to, put in your name and email, then you'll get some updates. I have not sent anything to that distribution list. There's a bunch of people on there.
I'm
I
pretty sure I'm on
needed
there,
to
Mark,
have
by the
it.
way. So
Yes,
yeah.
yeah, yeah. I need to have I need to have the registry working. Otherwise, this whole thing doesn't make sense. You see, there's still little glitches here and there. Publishing, unpublishing works, but the
Hmm.
whole installation part not yet. So when that's there, people can go crazy, download this long standalone report, publish some packages to the playground, go back and forth. You can't break anything there. That's also one of the reasons why I have this playground. You can do whatever you want in there with SAP all.
Awesome.
No limitations, right? When we get to the productive version, there will be, of course, no authentication, authorizations, and so on. And also, org management with the scope packages. I don't want anybody to, you don't want anybody to publish a package that's called BEN
Yeah. That's
slash
ours. Stay
slash
away.
nerds, right?
Yeah,
So
that's good. Yeah.
so that's the other part that's a bit work in progress to get all of that sorted out. It's doable, but it just takes a little while. I mean, in the end, it's all about the problem. I built it for myself, but it's for everybody to
Yeah.
use and share, and that's hopefully over time it will grow with lots of great packages. I mean,
Yeah.
there is already lots of open source out there, right? But it's not published in this version kind of way
Uh-huh.
with dependencies. Um, uh, when we had like long time ago this APAC thing in ABAP Git,
Yeah. Yep.
it was kind of like the first try in that direction, but it didn't really take off. With this approach, I think it's like from the start built for this kind of task of sharing ABAP code. I know there's millions of developers. The more they use it, the better, of
Yeah.
course, right? And we can all
Yeah.
benefit from it. And most of, as you said it before, it's like most of the code is not non-competitive, right? Your secrets that make
Yeah.
make your company what it is, right? They're very small parts of your actual application. The vast majority is
Yeah.
just stuff that you could freely share if you wanted to.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's trying to break through with ABAP Git. We've done 10 years now of open source, and we're beyond infancy status there, for sure. This will hopefully take it to the next level and allow people to share what they
I,
built in ABAP.
Honestly,
And
I think that's a great place to to put a button on the episode here, which is to say, people, look at this and share this because I think this sort of deserves to be shouted out to the world. So, guys, look at this. Share the link, share the video, share Mark's work with the world. Share, share, share. Please. Let's get this out there to the people.
yeah, I mean, you can
Yeah.
use it out just if you don't have to, um, necessarily be the one who shares everything, right? It's like you can use it for your own purposes. Lots
Yeah.
of companies are big enough to have like lots of different development systems, right? There's your
Mm-hmm.
CRM
Mm-hmm.
development system, there's your
Mm-hmm.
HR development system, there's your ERP,
Mm-hmm.
but you're sharing ABAP code across them.
Yeah.
How do you get it from one
Yeah.
to the other?
You,
Plus
yeah.
they
I
are
mean,
plus they are on different releases, right?
Yeah.
You put APM on each of these boxes, publish it to the registry as private packages, right? That are available only like limited to your org. Nobody sees them except for you. And then you can import it into the next box, right? Bing, bing, bing. You could do that with ABAP Git, but you
perfect.
don't have the versioning dependencies. You don't know which version is installed now on this system versus
Mm-hmm.
the other one. Do I need to update it? Right? You have a central one, and that kind of takes me to the to the last part. The in the future, I can see enterprise versions of the registry
Mm-hmm.
that would use the global one with an uplink, so you can use this APM also for your inner source projects, right? Without having to do
Mm-hmm.
anything with the internet, right? You
Mm.
just
Mm-hmm.
within your firewall with your own registry
Yeah.
to move things around, right? And because
Yeah.
that it's an obvious point, right? Because with open source, there are security concerns.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and lots of companies don't want anything to do with it. But I think if you look down the road and this actually works, well, it will become a disadvantage, right, to code these things from scratch rather than you're using packages that somebody else did, right? And if it's good packages, they have uh, really great tests and test coverage as well. So that you have better quality code than you would have when you do it yourself. And that's how
Yes.
I appreciate it when I do internet development. I look at whatever and the NPM client or semantic versions. These packages they have 100% test coverage, right? They're downloaded
Yeah.
400 million
Yeah.
times a week.
Yeah.
Crazy, right?
Completely
But
insane.
everybody uses the
Completely
same
insane.
thing, right?
Yeah.
Everybody
Yeah.
uses exactly the same code, and it's like
Yeah.
it's not bug free, but it's perfect, right? Everybody find a
Yeah.
bug, you're here, go fix it,
Yeah.
right? But it's everybody's
Yeah.
using the same thing. Nobody has to invent it again, and that hopefully is where we're going with this, also for the ABAP world and all my fellow
I hope so too.
ABAPers. Go
Yeah.
sign up, so you stay informed, and then you can play around with it. It's really at a point where you can just download that standalone and click around and publish some
Mm,
things and edit some of those package JSON files.
mm.
And see, I'll keep the packages that are on there on the playground as long as it doesn't go down. It has a database behind it, so
Yeah.
it's not file based, so I can
Sure.
quickly restart it. But
Mhm.
that's the life of a SaaS application.
Yep. Well, Marc, this was incredible. Thank you for sharing this. Thank you for driving us through like an example where we could watch a person click and type and actually do a thing. That was incredible. I think let's get this out to the world and let people see it.
Sure. Well, it's
Awesome.
absolutely a pleasure
Yeah.
to be here. If people want to get in touch with me either via GitHub, any issues, just open something there, send me an email, mark@everpm.com, or find me on Blue Sky, um,
Awesome.
and
Awesome.
take it from there.
Yeah, thank you so much, Mark.
Okay.
Always happy to get some feedback. Keep the emails coming.
Yeah, you've heard it, guys.
Okay. Cheers, everyone.
Right.
Bye-bye.
Thank you so
Thank
much,
you.
everyone.